Sanibonani, ngiyethemba ukuthi niphilile, ngiyethemba ukuthi ni safe and uNkulunkulu unigcinile. Hi everybody, and I hope that everything is well. I hope you are well, and I hope God's grace is upon you. I hope you're safe. I hope wherever you are, you're staying indoors and you're not going up and down the streets, placing your life at risk. I am praying and hoping that God protect all of you, guide you, give you strength and wisdom. It is very important that we get informed. Like the Bible says, my people perish because they lack knowledge. We cannot lack knowledge right now. Now is not the time not to know. Now is the time to get to know. We need to know. We need to know everything. We need to know how this virus starts, how this virus ends. Now it's not the time not to know. Now it's the time for us to be informed. Hi everybody, you are up. Some people are sleeping, some people are waking up. What time is it wherever you are? How are you doing? Are you guys safe? Are you at home? How are the challenges of sitting at home, babysitting the whole day, playing with the kids and becoming a teacher? I hope you're doing a good job. Some parents are just running away from being parents. They're just so dependent on school. This is time for us to be together and unite. I hope everything is well. I hope everybody is well. I am well, and God has protected all of us. And I just want to say condolences to all the countries that have lost their lives. I cannot count them all. It's just so overwhelming how many lives we're losing almost every day. In Italy, they lose about 500 lives a day. It is hectic. It is frustrating. It's overwhelming. And it's just so surprising that all of a sudden we're going to lose almost everyone in an instant like that in almost 3 months. So much has happened in the world, and the world has completely shut down, but we're very hopeful, and we're not going to lose hope. And it's not the end of the road. This is not the end. We're still going to live. We're still going to make a difference in our lives. Hi, Miguel. How are you? Happy birthday. Happy birthday. I created my own little studio so that you guys we can communicate. I haven't been live on Facebook now for how long? For almost... Hi, Basense. How are you? Welcome, guys. And I hope everything is well. I just want to talk briefly about what else. What else are we talking about these days? We talk about being at home. We talk about running out of merchandise. We talk about losing and winning. We're winning because we still have life. But coronavirus was discovered like 50 years ago. Yes, 50 years ago, researchers have been talking about it. And most of us didn't know because medical schools never covered it. It was not something that was that important that we were told about. But when we go back to literature and reviewing the literature, a lot of researchers have been speaking about coronavirus and all its family members, which are like SARS and COVID19, which is a latest strain, which was not there. Oh my goodness. Sawubona with Cyril. With Cyril Lulisa. Hey, Doc, just finished my morning prayer and soon we'll be getting ready to go and do my part of essential service. I know you're working so hard. Are you still at the Valley Trust or somewhere else? I'm sorry, I don't remember. But thank you so much for all you do, and thank you for the morning prayer. Next time we should do the prayer together because we all need this prayer. Please go live and pray with us, Brother Lulisa. Lulisa is in Cyril. Lulisa stays in Guanyu, so I don't know if you still live there, but we grew up together. If you know someone who knows everything about me, this is the person you should ask if there's anything you want to know. Patricia Talbot. Hi, Patricia. So then the strain now of COVID-19, the disease called COVID-19 that came up from this coronavirus strain, which is coming in succession of the one that took place in 2002. I don't know if you recall, in 2002 there was another strain called SARS, which was severe respiratory distress and major presentation. And SARS came about in 2002 in China again. Why is all these diseases? If I read, because we are reading right now, and if we read, it seems like it's because of the wild animals that are being eaten. I know a lot of people, there's a lot of theories like we have in HIV. We know that some of the diseases and viruses and strains can be created in the lab, but also eating certain wild animals. And you know the culture in China of eating the wild animals, which sometimes they eat them raw. You see the snakes and everything that is there. They eat the dogs. That has led to the perpetuation of the virus and spreading all over. If you have a theory that the viruses are created in labs, I cannot disagree with you, because yes, some of the viruses have been created in the labs. But right now we know the source. The source comes from the animals, from the wildlife. And it's been suspected a lot to be from the sea, wildlife in the sea. It's been researched, and there's a lot of speculation about the virus. We should know one thing, that nobody has the answer. One thing you should know, the whole world does not know. Do not put pressure on your doctors and think they're going to give you everything. Right now, this virus has put us all on the same level, all of us. All these professors we've been respecting, thinking they know it all, they don't. Because this is new. Unknown, surprising, spreading very fast. It's distributing all over. It transfers from person to person. The best way to transmit a disease is give it to human beings and let human beings just run with it. And that's what we're doing. We're running with it. We're spreading it. We're giving it all out. And that should stop. Why we should stop that is because in order for the doctors to be able to research and manage, and the funding, we cannot overuse our resources. So we need to stop being in the public eye. And a lot of people are really honestly being careless about that. Prevention is better than cure. I just want to say hi to my girl. Hi, Fadia. But since how are you, my love? I hope you're right. I hope New York. I don't know what's happening in the UN, but anyway, God is good in whatever way. Patricia, hi. El Bata Litlogile, how are you? Dumelang Litlogile. Ranhlero. Ojwang, naki kiteng. Ke tla bua ka Sesotho ganyana, mara ke tla bua later. Ke bua Sesotho, ke bua Sezulu, mara ke a leka. Ke tshwane le Mzulu o sa kgone go bua next. Nna ke a kgona wa bona, ke a leka ganyana. Mara re tla bua ka Sesotho later. Ke tlo bua ka English gona no. But anyway, Gabi, hi Gabi. Gabi, amen, my mentor. Glory to God, and thanks for sharing information. May God bless you and protect you. You know, I went into a conference at Columbia University because we were invited. At that conference, at that conference, I asked questions. Remember, I said, I don't know if you recall, I said, I'm at the conference. Does anyone have a question? Please send the question so that I can ask. So I'm sorry I saw your questions late, because I was really taken and I wanted to know, what is this infection? Because I was suspecting something was going on in November here in New York. Because when you go to the subways and you go to places, I would see people wearing masks. As a medical doctor, you ask yourself, what is going on? Why are people wearing masks? This was around November. I started asking to a point that I started wearing a mask on the subway. I would take a mask after the library at Mount Sinai. I would take the mask and then I'll put it on. Luckily, the hospital has the mask outside. Whenever you go in and out, there's mask, gloves, hand sanitizer. So I started packing the mask because I saw a lot of Chinese community. I'm sorry to use the race, but that was the case. And I noticed something was going on. I'm like, no, something is going on. Why are they wearing? And most of the masks were black. It was not the hospital mask. And I would stare and look. And like, I know if a person is wearing a mask, it's either they have TB. So I thought to myself, why there's so much high rate of TB? This is in November. Then I'm looking. I was like, what is going on? And then I started taking care of myself. I said, now it's time I protect myself. There must be something going on, but I didn't know what was going on. And then January, when news broke, I said, bingo. I knew something was up. Now it's time that I act. So the first conference that came out to talk about coronavirus here in New York, I signed up. And luckily, it was at the university, so it was easy. So I went there. But one thing that struck me is nobody could answer questions. There was a history which was very amazingly presented, but then when it comes to really details of the questions, people couldn't answer. Nobody could say, how do we treat this thing? And then I heard there was an outbreak in 2002, so why have we been waiting from 2002 to now? At the end of the day, right now, we have an infection that is not curable, not manageable. We have no vaccine. We have no treatment. What do? We isolate. You stay away from a person by 6 feet. 6 feet is 2 meters. You have to be away from everybody by 2 meters, unless you know for sure that they're negative or you know for sure that they're well. But also remember that even if a person looks well, they can still transmit the virus. This is the most difficult part about this virus, is that even if someone is looking well, no fever, no symptoms, still has the virus, can transfer it to you. So stay away. It is the best thing. So I decided I'm moving everything. For my sake, I am not going to die because of coronavirus just because I still want to hang out in life. Hi, Kenneth. Hi, Valerie. So what I decided, I'm isolating. Way before everybody started talking about isolating, I started studying about this virus, and I decided each and every information I find, I have to share, because maybe somebody out there will listen and start using the information. But also on religious aspect, God has been so good to us because he has set forth the prophets who have prophesied. God has also been good because he has set forth the scientists who have warned all our leaders. Nobody didn't know about coronavirus, the family of coronavirus, but not COVID-19 because it's new. But coronavirus has been known, and scientists have been begging for funding, especially in Hong Kong, which are very well knowledgeable about this disease. They've been investigating, talking about it, trying to get a vaccine without the success. Also, I came across by error this pastor from Zimbabwe, who I shared this as well, who prophesied about this in 2016. This is why I had a problem with the Christians on my Facebook page who kept on panicking. It's an act of panic to force to go and pray and mingle when you've been told, stay at home. Why don't you believe the God you serve that can hear you in your own house? I serve a living God. I serve a God who answers my prayer even when I mumble. I don't know if you remember in the Bible, the woman who was barren. I think it was Hannah. Hannah did not even pray. She was in so much pain. She could not even utter a word. She started mumbling, and God blessed her. I don't understand why people still believe that they need to congregate together in order for God to perform his miracles. Our God is a God who hears us, and he knew we'll be in this situation. And this is the same God we serve, who said, trust me and believe in me. Seek my face, seek my kingdom first, and everything shall be given unto you. which God are you serving that makes you break the law in order for you to go and pray? It just did not make sense to me that why Christians keep on wanting to gather together. All we need to do is sit in our own closets, close your door, kneel and pray to God, or stand, worship Him, thank Him for the life that we have. Scientists have been talking about COVID-19, coronavirus, SARS, which was spreading. SARS happened in 2002 in China, and then it spread all over. It spread in 10 countries, maximally in Hong Kong. That's where we find that the most of the data is when it comes to this research. So what happened was, after it spread all over, it subsided on its own. Now it's coming back in a higher rate. This is what this priest was saying, who prophesied in 2016. He's in Zimbabwean preacher Makandiwa, I think most of people have seen. Morning Smangel. He said, I listened to this and it made so much sense, both on the spiritual aspect and both on medical aspects. You should check this video. It's already on my page. He said, there is a disease. He said first, China. This was 2016 in June. Pray for China. There's a disease that is coming. And this disease is going to kill millions, if not billions. And then he said, we need to pray. And then he added that doctors will be so frustrated, they will cry because they will not know what to do. They will try to find the treatment and it will be difficult, to a point that they will start crying, watching the death and the numbers of people. This is exactly what's happening. But the message that is key right now that we are facing the challenge is, wash your hands 6 feet away from the next person. Watch the symptoms: cough, fever, shortness of breath. What do we mean by shortness of breath? People need to understand the word shortness of breath. What does it mean? A lot of doctors and medical students will know this. When someone has a shortness of breath, there are signs in their body that you must look for. Shortness of breath just doesn't mean that I can't breathe, like an anxiety. Shortness of breath means a person, when they try to breathe, the lung capacity cannot contain the air, the oxygen that they're trying to contain in their lung, because the lung is diseased. So what happened is they start using the nose to strain. You will see them like this. Do you see my nose? It's called alar flaring. Alar flaring is when the nose is opening wide like that. That's how you see someone with the respiratory distress. It's called distress, respiratory shortness of breath. They go like that. That's someone has a problem with the lungs. It means their lung cannot contain the air. It's either sometimes, like in asthmatic, you will see a person with asthma get shortness of breath. They go. Also, someone with anxiety will present like that. But someone with asthma is because there's fluid in the lung. So whenever the air comes, it gets trapped. It cannot go into the alveoli, which are small sac that are contained in your lung. So what happens is the person cannot breathe, and they're trying so hard that their body is helping them to absorb the air into the lungs. So what is those muscles that are helping the person to be able to breathe? The muscles of the nose. They are very important in helping you to breathe. Then your nose is going to start helping you to absorb the air. The body is an amazing, fascinating facet, because when you're stuck and you're in a problem, your body will try to rescue you. And those rescue measures are the ones that we look at and see that, no, this person is under rescue measures. Let's help them and help the body. But the body always sign up, always will show. I always say you are even what you if maybe someone is drinking a lot, you can see on the body. If you smoking a lot, you can see on the body. The body always show what's the underlying problem. So the other thing that you see with the shortness of breath, I can just talk for an hour on these three things when it comes to cough, fever, and shortness of breath. But right now, I want to talk about shortness of breath because shortness of breath is an indication of really a strenuous condition that strains the body, and also it shows the complication of the disease that you're presenting with. So if they say we must look out for fever, cough, and shortness of breath, you look also on the neck muscles, the scalene muscles. If you look, and sternocleidomastoid, this one, when you look at this is the muscle that separates the triangle. They go like this. Look at me. Look at that. Look at those muscles. You see, these muscles are starting to move. Those are the muscles that help someone breathe. But fever is a very good indicator that there's an infection. That's why fever is so key. If you have an abscess, you start developing fever. If you have a cough, you start developing fever. Fever is a very key feature in our bodies. It tells us what's going on. It tells us where the problem is. It tells us what to do. It tells us what we should do as doctors and what we should do as patients. When your body starts heating up, they advise from CDC and World Health Organization, because this is a pandemic, it means there's a high number of people who are presenting, is wait at home. I would say wait if you don't have a shortness of breath. I would say wait if the fever is not very high. Once you feel the fever, you have to see the doctor. They say stay. CDC advises us that you should stay at home, wait for 3 days to see if the symptoms are getting better. But my advice is, if you feel unwell by day 2, why should you wait for day 3? Why should you wait for day 4? If you feel that day 1, I'm sick, and day 2, you're getting worse, and day 3, you're not subsiding, call the doctor. Because we don't want to lose you. We want you to live. This is why we're spreading the information so you're informed and you can survive. So once you feel that you're not getting better by day 3, go to the ER and go to emergency room or go to the doctor's room. Whoever you go to, you wear a mask. This is when you must put a mask on. Only when you start feeling unwell. Now, the challenge we're having about that fact, when you think about it, what about people who don't have masks? Some people really don't have masks. So it means there are some people who are going to walk in the streets with you, who have the disease with symptoms, who are going to see the doctor, and you're going to meet them as you gallivanting or walking around, going out, and you will catch the disease. Because people need to seek medical help. That's why they say stay at home. The only people who are supposed to be out there are the people who are unwell seeking help, are the people who are working with the protective measures. We saw that in New York, a nurse died. We also saw that the manager died of the management in the hospital. A gentleman passed away. We're seeing that a lot of doctors are dying because nobody is immune. So we have to protect ourselves. When you feel the symptoms, headache, fever, and nausea, yes, the research now is showing that some of the patients are having a diarrhea. This is a research from China, because China has a huge data. Remember, this is not only the data. When I'm saying data, they've seen a lot of patients who are unwell. So China is right now a current source because of the high number that they've seen of the patients. So they tell us that some of the patients that have presented with very advanced disease and ended up in ICU and died, most of them had comorbidities like hypertension. They found that a lot of hypertensive patients have difficulty in surviving. If it's uncontrolled, they have difficulty in surviving the coronavirus. So basically, whatever sickness you may have at home right now, it's time for you to correct your health. It's time for us to focus on the things that matters in life. We have really deviated our focus and shifted our focus to selves looking good on the outside and missed the screening of the breast cancer. Most people miss the screening for cervical cancer. Now we have coronavirus that is saying, check your health and make sure everything is fine. Just in case you get it, you may survive it. Because some people, all the diseases are mild, moderate, and severe. So it depends on what level, what kind, or how healthy you are. If you are not healthy, then you may be affected. But if you are maybe having no comorbidities, you are young, and having no other illnesses, your survival may be better. So they found that other symptoms now that are coming up are things like diarrhea. Diarrhea has been found to also, or abdominal symptoms. Some patients, a certain number of patients have been presenting with diarrhea too. I'm not saying if you have diarrhea, then it's the symptom that you should concern about. Always watch every symptom. 3 days, 3 days maximum. If it continues over 3 days, you need a medical attention. So there are other also main issues that people have been talking about. Things like, what happens if I'm pregnant? I don't know what questions you have. You can send some of the questions. Let's see if we can answer. But you must remember one thing. Nobody in this whole world, maybe in Mars, knows details about COVID-19. It's only 4 months old. And even with SARS, which was taking place in 2002, we still don't know. So do not expect everybody to give you all the answers, but we can try and analyze and assist and support. Analyzing is looking at the biological, anatomical, molecular biology to see and try and gather all the facts together and to be able to come to a conclusive reasoning of what could be happening. I want to talk about people who are pregnant. It's very important right now. I know a lot of you, some of you, the marriages have been cancelled, but there are people who are making babies who are pregnant right now. There are people who just got pregnant as we speak. It's very important that you take care of yourself. If you're pregnant and you're out there, I think you're very unwise and you don't care about your life. If you're pregnant, stay at home. It doesn't matter what your employer is saying. Your employer should be understanding. You cannot expose yourself when you're pregnant to this virus because it can really put a lot of danger in your body. So pregnant people, the question is, can a pregnant mother transfer the COVID-19 into the baby? That's the major question. And can breastfeeding transfer COVID-19 to the baby? That is, I think, a most urgent thing that we will follow the studies and see what's happening. The answer to everything I'm going to say, it begins like this. We are investigating COVID-19. There are no conclusive answers to COVID-19. But according to the presentation of the majority of patients, it has been recognized and seen and observed that most patients who are pregnant have not yet transferred the virus into the baby. But it's inconclusive. We are waiting for the responses of all the researches that is taking place. Currently, there's 200 and something research currently taking place. And hopefully those research going, all the research that has been ongoing, we are hoping that is going to come up with more answers. Things are changing every day. Sanele sawubona ngiyaphila. Sanele was asking me, how am I doing? Ngiyaphila Sanele, and God is good. And Moglava, thank you for joining in. And Kosi and Spume Kamadloko Vungamu. Nomaziko, Cynthia, Shawana, how are you? Shawana, we need to talk, but we will talk about the issue of cancer and coronavirus. You know, we're not supposed to touch our faces, by the way. It's not allowed that we should touch our faces because that's how the virus spread. They say when you put the mask, it helps you not to touch your face, because even if you had found the infection when you walk in the mall. I just want to talk about that. Oh my goodness, there's so much to cover. If, say, you walk in the mall and you touch all those rails, it's in your hands, you wash your hands, it won't transfer to you. You wash and scrub your hands for 20 seconds. Now, that's another challenge, another topic on its own. We'll cover it next time. But you gotta wash your hands for 20 seconds. And while you're washing your hands, sing happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to me. Happy birthday to me. Happy birthday, dear Thandeka. I'm washing hands. Happy birthday to me. Ay, Lando yama drip, 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 flop, flop, flop. Touch, touch, pet, pet on your body. We can't do that because then that causes a problem. When we wash our hands, you take your soap and water and wash and sing happy birthday till the end while you're washing. Challenge is with that. My problem with that is that I grew up in the rural community and I know most of the communities get the water from the river. And they don't have the water to wash their hands for 20 seconds. That is the major challenge. That all the measures that are preventative for those with resources. People in the rural communities, I don't know how they're handling this situation. It's very, very difficult situation. Like Kwanyu, so they don't have a hospital. What do? They go to that clinic. Hey, I really don't know how the situation is being managed. But at the end of the day, those with water and the taps, run the water as you wash your hands. You gotta run the water in your hands. And remember, the virus will stay on the air if somebody is coughing or whatever, or you bring the clothes with it. It lasts for almost three hours on air. So you gotta be careful. Now, I've even forgotten where I was. There's just so much to cover. I wanted to talk about cancer and COVID-19. So, cancer patients, this is what is so important that I want to emphasize. Cancer is an immune suppressive disease. People who get COVID and present with advanced disease are people who are immune suppressed. So when you have cancer, you are immunocompromised. When you have HIV, you're immunocompromised. When you have uncontrolled diabetes, you are immunocompromised. Now, what happens if I have cancer and I also have coronavirus? Okay, let's just talk about you with cancer. If you have cancer and you're going through treatment right now, there's going to be few challenges. One, if you're getting chemotherapy, it is immunosuppressive treatment. So you have an immunosuppressive disease being treated with immunosuppressive treatment. Some people are getting chemo and radiation together. So now you have an immunosuppressive disease with immunosuppressive double treatment, because chemotherapy is immune suppressant and radiotherapy is an immune suppressant. Now you have a double, triple already issues that are causing immune suppression. Now, you don't take care of yourself. You expose yourself, but I want to say this. I don't know if most cancer patients remember, every time before you get your chemo or radiation, the doctors will take the bloods. Why do they pull the bloods on you? They pull the blood so that they can check do you have anything that can cause your immune suppressive state even worse, or do you have infections? How do they check the infections? Is because you're something called neutropenia, where your cells are going down, the white cells, which are protective white cells of your body. Where are they found? They are found in a bone marrow. The bone marrow is the one that produces the red blood cells, white blood cells, and the platelets. These are key blood elements. When we find the platelets are busy with clotting, and then we find that the white cells are the infection control cells, which kills the viruses, the bacteria, and every bugs that you may be carrying. We depend on your white cells. Now, what happens is if you get the chemo and radiation, because it's immune suppressant, white cells are your immunity cells. They get reduced. So you see what I'm saying? So now this chemo already is reducing your white cells, which are your protective mechanism, like the soldiers of your body. So if the chemo I'm taking or radiation I'm taking is killing some of the, because it affects, it's a bone marrow suppressant. What does this mean? It goes to the bone marrow and shuts it down. So if the factory is shut down, it means there's no production. So if there's no production, then it means there's a shortage, and the shortage will show in the production level. So where is that? In the blood. So that's why we take the blood every time before you get chemo, so that we can tell if your white cells are good, because if your white cells are low, you don't get that chemo. We also want to check if your red blood cells are good, because if you have anemia, you don't get that chemo. You get the blood, and then they wait and check again and then correct it. Also, if your white cells are low, which is the soldiers of your body, you don't get that chemo. So now the challenge is, if you will get exposed either directly or indirectly to coronavirus, which is already a crippling disease for those who are immunosuppressed, and you have all these issues already going on in your body, it becomes very difficult for cancer patients. This becomes more of a double trouble. So my advice is, try your best to stay at home. This is the only solution. If you are well, stay at home. Don't say, I'm going to wait until I'm better. It is very frustrating to see people being careless about their lives. We know it's your life. We know when you die, but the problem is we are humans. We care about you, and we get worried when we see you being careless about your life and being out there. And also, it's not just about you. Your actions are affecting all of us, because we want this thing to end. And it cannot end if you still continue to be outside. And then you're going to catch it and then bring it to your family. And then you're increasing the load to the doctors. But there's a flip side in New York City. There's been people going to the ER just because they feel cough. Guys, we cannot demand the testing. And it's not a waste. We cannot say you are wasting resources, but there's an unnecessary fear that tends to present to us, or to people, that present to people as fear. And that fear can present to you as you symptomatic, and then you start going seeking help that you don't need. So CDC has made it clear, guys, stay at home, self-quarantine. Stay at home. If you don't get better, then you go seek help. But people have been going, especially in New York, the young people have been seen to be going to the ER a lot. Trevor Noah has made a joke about it and say it's not a hangout spot. The ER is not a hangout spot. But try by all means to go when you really require it, because there's not enough testing. There's not enough resources to test all of us. So the best thing is, let's stay at home. I just want to read some of the messages because I appreciate your time that you take to be here, and I appreciate that you are tuning in. And I don't go live that much, and I just wanted to do this because we can, now that all the legalities are sorted, because we cannot speak like this if the presidents have not announced that it's time to stay at home. It's time for a lockdown. I hope you're handling the lockdown well. It's not easy and it's very costly. Alpheus, how are you? Giselle. Hi, Sibusiso. Unonhlanhla. Mazibuko says, thank you, Dokotela. God bless you. I'm saying thank you too. It's just what we should do. We should share. If you see something good, share it. This thing of holding on to information, it won't help. And it doesn't help for us to act like we don't know, or to act like we know everything when we don't. even the top professors don't know. There are so many conspiracy theories. I don't care about them. What I care about them is people's health. What I care about them is prevention, because I know prevention is better than cure, and this time we don't have a cure. So what I care about is that you prevent getting this thing like I'm doing. Let's do it together. There's no harm. It's not boring. It's not painful. Yes, it's costly, but we need to change our mindsets in order to be able to change our disease profile. We've always for years struggled with controlling the disease in our community because we don't change with the times. When the times change, you gotta move with the time. Right now, the time demands us to be at home. Let's be at home. There's gonna be time for us to be out there and live our lives again. You can't be laughing at the funeral when there's no joke to laugh about. You look ridiculous. Same thing. You can't be going out and posting on Facebook that you are out eating at a restaurant. Duh. We don't care. We don't care about your restaurants. We don't care about your fancy life. You can't be posting that you're traveling. We look at you like you're stupid. What's wrong with you? It's like you're committing suicide if you do that. It's not fancy. That mentality should really go away from all of us, that we're still showing off. It's not the time right now. That's not the time. It's not the season. You can't be wearing a bathing suit in winter. We are in winter right now. We are in a harsh conditions. We are in the middle of a different circumstances. We need to change our mindset. We need to change our behavior. If your behavior was waking up every day and go to work, it can't happen right now. We know it's important unless you are an essential service, or you work in a grocery store, or you're a petrol attendant, or you work in a hospital. But otherwise, what are you doing in the office? Who's going to die if you're not there? Go online. We can all go online. But there are so many of us who are doing the right thing, and thank you for that, because then you are bringing the goodness into the universe, and that's what we require. We must take care of Mother Nature, or Mother Nature will do a lot of things against us, because when God created us into this earth, He placed everything for us to survive. What do I mean by that? When God created man, He said, here's the rivers will flow. You can drink the water. He said, here's the fruits which are free. Mango, peach, they're all growing. Banana. Everything God had planned for us to be on this earth. But sometimes some of us gets the greed, and we start misusing what the planet has, which is our protective mechanism. We have to live in harmony with the universe. We have to live in harmony. We have to do good. We have to do good by each other, by our environment, and around each other. To a point that I get so embarrassed to see someone thinking it's okay for them to be out there and hanging out, touching and hugging people they don't even know if they've tested or not, just because they're being trendy and exposing everybody. You are not being good for the environment. You are exactly like the person who's rhino poaching. If you are out there, you are the same as the rhino poacher. You are the same as the person who's destroying trees and burning the environment. We have to feed our environment to feed us. It's a cycle. It's a cycle like that. If you break the cycle, then we get affected, all of us. And I just want to say, so how is all of these people contracting the virus? I think we just covered that. But anyway, Alpheus, how is all these people contracting the virus? It spread. The virus spreads. How are all these people getting HIV? How are all these people getting TB, Alpheus? It spread. It spread via the droplets. That's why they say keep the distance 6 feet, which is 2 meters away, so that when someone sneezes or cough, you're not affected. The virus can spread in so many ways. Somebody who's sick may have touched their nose, and then you come and shake their hand. You get the virus, then you take that virus and wipe your own nose. You transfer it like that. Viruses cannot transfer on their own. They need us. We help the virus transfer. You are helping the virus transfer. Viruses cannot do it on their own. They need us. So we are helping them if we don't comply. And if we're not helping them, we're washing our hands. Why? Because if somebody has the virus, they cough and sneeze in their hand and they touch you. Either they cough on you directly or indirectly. If it's indirectly, then it means they may cough, touch their hand, touch their body, sneeze in their hand. They come. A few minutes later, they're shaking your hand. You take it. Or you touch something like they cough, sneeze into their hands. They go to the shop or hold on the elevator and wipe that whole filth into the rail. Then you come and you touch the same rail. We've seen on conjunctivitis. Conjunctivitis used to be called pink eye. I think they still call it pink eye. And it has been found that conjunctivitis, a lot of patients getting it in one season. It's seasonal. A lot of patients will come with conjunctivitis because those with it touch their eyes and then open the door handle or touch the kettle that you use for water at work, and you all get it like that. Or they go to the mall. They hold on the mall on the rails. Or they hold on your bank card and give it to you. You can you please swipe this for me, or can you take that? That's how diseases transfer. Diseases need you, Alpheus, to be able to be transferred to another person. So that's why when they ask us to stay at home, we are reducing the number. And China has proven that. If you look at the statistics in China, they are going down because they've learned to change their behavior. I've heard a lot of my black brothers and women and brothers of color saying, oh, this disease is not for the black people. You're wrong. You're very wrong. We may not have enough resources to test all the black people, but if we did, we will find out that everybody gets the virus the same way. I'll make an example. Right now, South Africa, which is my country, has tested 20,000 something people. 2 days ago, they had tested 15,700. And the community of South Africa, the population is 55 million. So you cannot base only your statistics on 15,000. But right now, the good thing about South Africa is they have 0 deaths. Congratulations on that. But this is 0 deaths of the tested people, which is how many? 15,000. 15,000 is not even Bronx alone. It's not even KwaMashu alone. 15,000 is nothing. So the stats we're looking at are based on only now, today, 20,000 people. When we had 15,000 being checked 2 days ago, 500 people out of 15,000 became positive. So we had 500 people being positive out of the 15,000. Then the scale in 2 days ran from 15,000. This is the whole country, by the way, not the city. I'm talking about the whole country has tested only 15,000. Now, from 15,000 of 2 days ago to 20-something thousand, I'll say 22,000, just as an estimate, it's less than that. Today, the number is increased to 947. Can you see the jump? We only added 5,000 more to the screening. From that 5,000 gave us another 500. And there's 55 million in the country, and they trade with China every day. And we only closed the borders on March 15. How many people from China traveled from November, December, January, February, How many Chinese people and people from all over the world who were already infected traveled in and out of our borders, New York and South Africa? That's why when Mayor de Blasio said there was one person infected, I said to myself, you cannot fool us. Just say out of the people you have tested, there's one. There were many more who were not tested, who were outside. I said I started making moves in February. In January, not even by February, when I heard something was happening, I had my ducks on the row, because the stats we're looking at a certain percentage being screened. So don't look at the actual, we have 500 people positive. You only have 500 people positive out of 1,000, out of 15,000 people who were screened. So if you had 1 million screened, you'll have 500,000. If you had 55 million people screened, you'll be sitting with 1 million. Think about it. You gotta think for your health. You cannot take everything you hear and not analyze. You gotta analyze the data and look at the data. If 15,000 only, you cannot base your life on 20,000 people who've been screened. That's why the government is shutting down and putting on a lockdown, because they realize only the lockdown can help them even start testing people. Because while you're testing people, more are getting infected. It becomes a waste. Let me try and check. Gary, hi. Lawrence, thanks, Doc. We needed that. Keep teaching. Each one, teach one. I believe that, and I'm for that. But what I notice is that, Lawrence, when people get the information, they don't share. And some people are just so proud on sharing the information just because they don't want to recognize people with the information. Actually, for me, it doesn't bother me whether you share what I'm sharing with you or not. I'm still at the knowledgeable level to a certain extent, and I'm still having the ability to read and try and translate. Even if one person for me hears what I'm transferring, and even if one person teaches me, because I learn too. I'm willing to learn from others, and I'm willing to teach others, but it's up to others to transfer the information. Gone are the times of selfishness where we keep things to ourselves, because that is also causing problems and death. Do you see the background behind? It's my most favorite cloth. It's from South Africa. And the one I'm wearing now, this one is from Kenya. Anyway, just to give you a bit of an understanding, New Yorkers, so that you know what I'm representing. I'm representing South Africa at the back with this shweshwe. My most favorite. Everybody who comes to New York, I say, please, ngicela ngiphathele isicholo, ngicela ngiphathele ishweshwe, ngiyanicela, nobuhlalu, angibuthandi kanje, ninqwaba. Anyway, Oli, welcome. Dumsile, thank you for watching. Themba Lihle, thank you for watching. Otto, our doctor, can you say something? Otto, what is going on the ground? Doctor, how are you keeping up in the hospitals? And I hear it's not only in South Africa where there's not enough protective gears and protective clothing. Also, we lost, in New York, we just lost a nurse because they didn't have enough supply. It's not only one. I'm sure there's so many. We just had one because it was on the news. We are going through a lot, and we're still going to go through a lot. When I listened to the speech by the mayor today and yesterday, he is not giving us any reassurance. New Yorkers, you got to stay away from the streets if possible. South Africans, you have to stay away from the streets. Valerie says, how you doing? I miss you. Thank you so much, guys, for all the support. Valerie, I see you all the time chatting and sharing. Brother Cyril Dlulisa, to all the Christians, Smangele, guys, keep on praying. Siabulela Mutwa, I see you in the rural areas. You're doing great work, and God bless you. I'm just asking Gary, please tell me what's going on at the Red Rooster. Oh my goodness, the way I miss the Red Rooster. Please, can you tell me what's going on at the Red Rooster? How is Harlem? Mo, how is Brooklyn? Mo, thank you for joining. How are you doing? How's your business? How are the clothes? Please follow Mo Glover. Mo is doing great work. She's designing clothes for kids. She's based in Brooklyn. She's an amazing, amazing sister. Very, very, very patriotic. Where we're doing great work and we're united and we're supporting each other. Alpheus is an activist, and please support him in his, sometimes he has all these theories, but anyway, brother, we support you, we love you, we know you're representing the community at its best, and that's all that matters. I don't know if there's something else we need to cover. I will cover next time the certain drugs that have been spoken about. Drugs like, you know which one? Anti-malaria drugs? Chloroquine? We'll talk about that. I would like us to go into details of that, but we'll have to know more. If I talk about chloroquine, please don't ask me to explain what a cell membrane is, because I won't know how to explain the cell membrane, but I'm going to try. Because when we talk about chloroquine, we're going to talk about molecular biology, molecular stuff, and molecular stuff is not easy to explain in oh Jesus Christ. I'm gonna do my best, but when we explain how chloroquine works, we're gonna go into details of molecular. We're gonna look at the cytosol where the coronavirus is acting. We're gonna study the virus at that time and be able to then describe what happens, how does the virus enter the cell, and when it gets to the cell, what kind of processes does it triggers, and how does it replicate? Replication is multiplication. How does it grow? How does it controls the engines of your body? Because viruses cannot survive on their own. Viruses, what they do is they get into your system and control your system to reproduce itself. It's so funny. It's so opportunistic. It's so funny how we, as our human bodies, are helping the virus to grow intentionally and unintentionally. But basically, we need to learn more about the lipid bilayers. You need to understand how the virus can cross the membranes, how the drugs even can cross the membranes. Remember, some of the drugs can cross through the lipids, some cannot cross through the lipids. Lipids, I mean fat, like fatty lining. Some of the membranes are fat lined, which means you need a transporter to be able to cross over. I don't want to go into details of this, but I'm just giving you an idea of the cell so that you can prepare yourself and read and try to read, because we all reading. Nobody knows anything. We all on the same boat. But try to read the understanding of how drugs, because drugs have to cross to enter the cell. For some of the drugs needs a transporter, or sometimes you need something that's going to help it cross. It's like you need a boat to cross the river. So some of the drugs have those boats, like chloroquine, that we need to go and enter